Hi, ladies and gentlemen of GEC, although I can only see NLCS here. My name is Heesung. This is probably how I should start my speech, right? Most speeches start with that. It's one of the most common ways to start a speech. But today it's different, because my whole speech is about names. So maybe I just made a very significant statement there. My name is Heesung. You know, I could have said my name is Heesung Amy Tae. And while you were completely oblivious, I just revealed one of my greatest secrets to you. Even my closest friends don't know that I've got an English name. So if they're watching this through live stream, I'm pretty sure they're shocked. This name Amy comes from Little Women. My mom gave it to me when I was in kindergarten, but I never use it. That is first because there are too many Amy's. I'm positive that there are more than, 10 Amy's at our school only. But second, it's because I don't think the name Amy suits me. I'm nothing like Amy from Little Women. But third, and most importantly, it's because I love my Korean name. It has a wonderful meaning, it's unique, it sounds nice, and I even love the way it's written. But apparently, others don't seem to think like that for their names. My grade 11 peers have recently been interested in giving themselves English names. They ask for recommendations on Instagram, and some of them actually started using those names at school. This greatly stimulated my curiosity, and I sent out a survey to them. These were the questions in the survey. First, why did you decide to have an English name? Second, do you prefer to be called by your English name? Why? What do you think the answers were? Since most of you also have English names, I think your answers will be similar. Most of my grade 11 peers decided to get an English name because foreigners had trouble pronouncing their mother tongue ones. The second most popular reason was that English names sound nice. It turned out that half the people who answered my survey preferred to be called by their English names, but the other half didn't. The main reasons for each side could be summarized like this. For people who said that they prefer to be called by their English names, it was because it's easier for people, especially foreigners, to pronounce and spell. Some people said that English names are fun and inclusive. People who said they prefer to be called by their mother tongue names, which is Korean, they said it's because they're living in Korea right now, or it's because English name doesn't feel familiar. And some people said that their Korean name connects to their Korean identity. Curiouser and curiouser, I sent out a whole school survey once I was selected as a TEDx speaker. Branksome only has a small portion of students who use English names compared to other schools in GEC, but still 68 students answered. I asked the same questions. Again, the main reason for getting an English name was because foreigners had a hard time pronouncing their mother tongue names. But then, a lot more reasons came out. Most people got their English names from their childhood, not really knowing why. Their parents made it for them, they were encouraged by private hagwons, or they just simply didn't know why they've got an English name. This result made me think. In fact, it made me reflect further back to my kindergarten years, when I first got my name Amy. So I asked my mom why she did what she did. She said, "Oh, it's not my fault, really," because she knew that I hate the name Amy. "Your kindergarten informed me that you would need an English name since you will start to get English lessons." This was interesting. Apparently, my kindergarten thought that having their children adopt English names would make it a more globalized and modernized school. But do we need English names in order to learn English? Is that what we mean by globalization? Adopting foreign stuff? Isn't sharing our own culture also a part of globalization? Learning English seems to be necessary in this globalized world. But getting a new English name without a particular reason merely seems to be a result of linguistic imperialism. Now look at us. Who can remind me what GEC stands for? Anyone? Just shout out. What does GEC stand for? Yes, Global Edu City. In Korean, it's called 영어교육 도시, which is just English educational city. We will hopefully graduate our schools and we'll be heading to universities, which for most of you would be located overseas. So we're standing at the front line of globalization. It seems to me that not many of you are actually aware of this, but I'd even say that each and every one of us is a delegate of our own culture, as we would be the first impression of our culture to some people out there. And the first thing they get to know about you is your name. Young ladies and gentlemen, your names are your identities. When I say my name is Heesung Tae to a foreigner, I'm preserving my Korean identity, and I'm asking them to respect my Korean identity. It's not mandatory for you to adopt an English name if you don't feel like it's part of your identity. It's true that most foreigners struggle to pronounce our mother tongue names right. I've been correcting my teachers for years now that my name is Heesung, not Heesung. But no teacher has ever been annoyed by that. Luckily for me, they're all globally minded international educators who are supposed to and willing to respect our cultures and identities. If someone pronounces your name wrong and doesn't even try to correct it, they're not respecting you. And if you decide to get an English name for their convenience, you're stepping back. So I want you to realize that your name is an opportunity. It is an opportunity to let you know, your culture known, and your identity known. And you know what? You think English names are better for English speakers, but some of them actually enjoy listening to your Korean names or mother tongue names. I co-lead a service club named Mendorong at our school. My friend and I had this long discussion on how we should name our club between Lukos, which means light, and Mendorong, but the letter one. When I told this name to my teachers, they always asked, "Oh, what does that mean?" And I explained to them that it means warmth in Jeju dialect. Everyone was fascinated. We used the name of our service club to share our local culture. It had a nice meaning, it was unique, it stood out, and it made others remember our club. So when you give names to something, especially later if you found a super big company or give a title for a world-famous song, just consider how much power those names will hold. When you introduce your names to someone, just consider what that means. Because, as I said, your names are your identities. I'll just share what I found most interesting from the survey before I end my speech. Most students said that they got English names because their teachers struggled to pronounce their mother tongue names. But when I asked how often their teachers pronounce their mother tongue names right, they said that their teachers do a pretty good job. And then they also said that their teachers make effort to do so. But when I asked how often they correct their teachers when they mispronounce their names, the answers varied. I asked them why they don't correct their teachers when they mispronounce their names. The main reasons were that they were worried if they may embarrass their teachers or think it's impolite. Some people said that it doesn't really matter because they know that the teacher's calling them anyway. And some people said that they're just tired of correcting. But you know, when I sent out this survey to the whole school, I didn't just send it to the students. I also sent it to the teachers. And their responses, I'll just read some off the screen. The question, by the way, asked, when your students have both their mother tongue name and an English name, which one do you prefer to call them by? One teacher said, anonymously, I don't know who it is either, always the mother tongue name. So much thought and meaning were put into names in Korean culture, and I believe it holds a significant meaning and identity. If you can say Michelangelo or charcuterie, you can pronounce their names. Show respect and put effort. Another teacher said, I feel as though everyone deserves to be called by their given name, no matter how difficult it is for others to pronounce it. A name is a huge part of someone's personality, and it should never be modified to fit others' needs. Mother tongue name, I think that it is important to establish respect for home cultures. I prefer to use the name they want, but I like the Korean names. And I also had this any other comments section, just in case my teachers has something to say about this. And their responses here, I say they were somewhat touching. I hope to have my students correct me whenever I pronounce their names wrong. I think I often pronounce names incorrectly, and students are either too polite or extremely flexible and do not correct me. I would rather have the student correct me many times than continue to say it very wrong. I always like to ask if a name has a specific meaning. I find it fascinating in other countries where names are derived from familiar words. I believe that using the same name that their parents use is important in creating a teacher-student connection. There were so many comments like these, and I just picked a very few of them. I really want you to know that your teachers here are globally minded educators who are always willing to respect you. I hope that made you think about your names a little bit more. So I'll end my speech in the same way I started it. For the rest of my life, I'll be meeting people from all places, and I'll introduce myself more than 1,000 times. But each and every time, I will say, with my deepest consideration, that my name is Heesung. Now it is your turn to say yours. Thank you very much.